So I feel that the JBL PartyBox 520 is right in that Goldilocks zone if you're looking for a portable box speaker. It gets so loud you never wonder, I wish it had a little bit more power, or you never ask yourself, what if you get a second speaker? But it's also not so overkill where you start thinking that getting it was a mistake, like you might think with either the JBL PartyBox 710 or JBL PartyBox Ultimate. Now, in a lot of ways, I think that the JBL PartyBox 520 is the new and more portable replacement for the PartyBox 710, but I still think that there's room for the PartyBox 720. Nonetheless, today we're going to compare the JBL PartyBox 520 to the JBL PartyBox 710, and we're going to see if it's worth upgrading or even waiting for the 720 if it ever comes out. We're going to pricing. The JBL PartyBox 520 retails for almost $900, but you do forget about it when you're playing music. Whereas the 710 has a retail price of $850 and it's still available today, but the PartyBox 710 actually came out in 2021, and honestly, I think that there is still room for a PartyBox 720. It can be a slightly smaller and more affordable version of the JBL PartyBox Ultimate. Nonetheless, if you want to pick either of these two speakers up, they'll be linked down below, or you can always press on the YouTube shopping button. And if you want to further support the channel, then you can always pick up some merch. So first, we have to talk about the design and portability of these speakers, and most importantly, that's the built-in batteries. Now, the JBL PartyBox 710 does not have a built-in battery. You can only use the speaker while it's plugged in, obviously affecting the portability of the speaker. Whereas with the JBL PartyBox 520, the speaker does have a built-in battery. Now, the 520 has an advertised battery life of 15 hours, which is very impressive. However, this advertised battery life of 15 hours is with this speaker playing at 40% volume, which is already a really good listening volume, but that's with the light feature turned off and with the bass boost feature turned off. And in general, battery life on the speaker really varies depending on how you use it. If you use it at a higher volume, or with the light feature turned on, or with the bass boost feature turned on, all of that is going to affect your battery life. But real-world use with the speaker playing at 60% volume and with the light feature turned on and with the bass boost feature turned on, for me, it's been good for 8 hours of playback time. And honestly, anything above 60% volume while indoors with either of these two speakers is gonna require hearing protection, and anything above 80% volume is telling your neighbors that you really care about them, and max volume is just telling the cops that you really need some company. But the really cool thing about the PartyBox 520 is, just like the PartyBox 320 and 120, you can quickly and easily swap out the battery on the speaker. So if you want, you can get multiple batteries and keep the party going, or if you ever get to a point where your battery can no longer hold a charge, instead of having to get a completely new speaker, all you need to do is just replace the battery, which is going to help extend the overall life of your investment. And to charge the speaker, it charges via a double barrel AC port, and when you use the speaker while it's plugged in, you are going to get a performance boost out of it. It is going to get louder and it is going to have more bass. Now, it's not going to get as loud as the PartyBox 710, but it is a boost, and it actually does a really good job of keeping up with the 710. So, thanks to the PartyBox 520's built-in battery, the speaker is a lot more portable than the PartyBox 710. Also, the 520 is noticeably smaller than the PartyBox 710. It weighs in at 56 pounds, plus it has these built-in wheels so you can easily roll the speaker around, and thankfully, these wheels are super chunky, so the 520 is easy to roll around in a parking lot or on the sidewalk, on the grass, or even on a thick carpet. Now, the 710 also has built-in wheels, so you can roll it around just like the 520. However, this speaker weighs in at 61 pounds, and I feel that if you're going to be loading this speaker into your car or taking it up and down stairs, you are going to need help. Whereas with the 520, it is a little more manageable. However, if you are going to load it into your car or carry it up and down stairs, help is going to be preferred. But the important thing here is neither of these two speakers are as bad as the PartyBox Ultimate, because this thing is just way bigger. But durability on both of these speakers is the same. Both of these speakers have a mostly plastic body, which can get scratched easily. They both have a thin metal grille on the front, which can get dented easily. And they both have an IPX4 rating, so they are water resistant, so some water isn't going to be a problem, as in if you leave it out in the rain, they're going to be fine. But you do want to make sure that the port panel on the back is covered on both of these speakers. But then there's the light feature on these speakers. Now, both of these light features look really good, and from JBL's app, you can choose from a few different lighting modes. However, I do feel the 520's light feature is a little sleeker than the 710's light feature. But more importantly, the 710 does not have overkill, so you can't connect it to JBL's party lights like you can with the 520 and build out your light feature if you want. Now, it's not a huge deal because these party lights will still work with your 710 or any other speakers out there, but they just won't sync up like they will with the 520. But in general, if we do see a PartyBox 720, I would like it to look very similar to the Ultimate. I would like for the light rings to have the same 3D effect, and I would also like to see some floor lights like on the PartyBox Ultimate. But then there are the ports on these speakers. Now, the port panel on the 520 is illuminated, which I do feel is a very nice touch, but more importantly, the PartyBox 520 is now using XLR combo jacks, whereas the 710 has a 3/4 inch inputs. So with the PartyBox 520, you can plug in a mixer if you want, which is great for people that might want to moonlight as a DJ. Now, don't get me wrong, with the 710, we have been able to use it with a mixer, but you're either gonna have to use Bluetooth or you'll have to use the audio jack, so you might run into some technical difficulties, whereas having the XLR inputs like on the 520, it's just easier, and if there is a 720, we do want to see those XLR inputs here as well. But more importantly, with both of these speakers, you can plug in two microphones for karaoke, or you can plug in a guitar, but I think microphones for karaoke is more important. And with both of these speakers, directly from the control panel up top, you can adjust the sound of your mic. You can adjust the bass. You can also go ahead and add in some treble, or you can also add in an echo, just so that you can hide how off-key you are. Also, both of these speakers do have these extra DJ buttons up top.
Let's party!
So you do have these sound effects built in. Personally, I do feel that these buttons are a little pointless, but if you have a good MC, you'll be able to play around with that, and if you want, you can also customize these DJ buttons directly from the app. Now, with both of these speakers, you can plug in two wired mics, or you can also plug in JBL's PartyBox mics and get two wireless mics going. Now, I know that JBL's wireless mics are a lot more expensive compared to the wired versions. However, these mics do sound better because they do a much better job of picking up your voice because they have a very tight cardioid pickup pattern, and they also do a really good job of not picking up too much noise when you're handling these microphones. However, I do prefer the 520 over the 710 here because it has a USB-C port that you can use to charge your own phone, and you can also use this USB-C port to charge your wireless mics. And you can also use this USB-C port as a wired connection if you want. Whereas with the PartyBox 710, this speaker has a USB-A port, so charging your phone isn't as convenient as with the 520, especially in 2025. And again, if there is a 720, we do want to see a USB-C port here as well. I would actually really like to see dual USB-C ports on a larger 720. But with both of these speakers, you can use them with a wired connection because they both have an audio jack, but more importantly, both of these speakers do have an audio out jack, so if you want, you can always daisy chain them up to any other speaker, regardless of size or brand, and get them to play in sync. And finally, when it comes to Bluetooth connectivity, both of these speakers can be connected to two devices at the same time, so you and a friend can both be DJ. Latency is not an issue for either of these two speakers, so you can use them to watch videos with on your phone. But when it comes to audio codecs, the 710 only has support for SBC, whereas the 520 has support for SBC and AAC. And if there is a 720, I wouldn't be surprised to see Wi-Fi support like on the Ultimate, but personally, I don't really care for Wi-Fi support. And if you want to further support the channel, then check out our affiliate partner, Coinbase. I have been exclusively using Coinbase for the last 5+ years to invest in crypto, and I have had zero issues with them. And if you sign up by using the link down below, you can get up to $200 in crypto. Coinbase makes it very easy for you to buy crypto like Bitcoin, Ether, Solana, and so on, and you can now use Apple Pay. Again, thank you to our affiliate partner, and sign up by using the link down below to get up to $200 in crypto. But with all that out of the way, let's talk about sound. When it comes to speaker setup, both of these speakers have dual front firing woofers with an exhaust port that shoots out the back, and they both have dual front firing tweeters. Except on the PartyBox 710, it's just bigger. And with both of these speakers, you can go into their apps and you can adjust their EQ to your liking, and they both have their bass boost feature. Now, personally, I prefer deep because you get more kick in your bass, whereas with punchy, you get more resonance, but I feel that it does muddle the rest of your music. But now we're going to go ahead and jump into the sound test. Both of these speakers are playing at 75% volume with their bass boost set to deep, but with the 520, we're going to be using it while it's plugged in and unplugged.
I took a dive, I didn't know I'd fall so deep into your eyes. I've never been somewhere so sweet, I'm hypnotized. Yeah, you put my mind at ease, got you divine. I'm thankful that you're mine. Looking at me like people are looking at their phone. I spent 7 years looking for love that I can hold. Now I know your love is all I need. Now I know, yeah, your love is all I need. Always by my side, off of the ground. Cause I'm feeling so damn high, I'm hypnotized. You put my mind at ease, got you divine. I'm thankful that you're mine. Fast forward, hotel jet plane. My life won't never be the same. Got you all up in my brain. Love the way you changed me for the better. Got me through bad weather. I want you all the time. I love the way you looking at me like people are looking at their phone. I've spent 7 years looking for love that I can hold. Now I know your love is all I need. Now I know, yeah, your love is all I need. Your love is all I need. Yeah, your love is all I need. Your love is all I need. Yeah, your love is all I need.
Now, when it comes to sound quality, even though these speakers have the same speaker setup, they do sound a little different. Specifically, the PartyBox 520 has slightly more defined highs and it sounds a little more open. Now, I think that the sound differences are very small and I feel that your more average person isn't going to notice or care all that much. However, what is very different between these two speakers is the bass and max volume performance. The JBL PartyBox 710 is an 800 watt speaker, whereas the PartyBox 520 is a 400 watt speaker. So the 710 does get louder and it has more bass than the 520. Now, the 520 also has a lot of bass, but the 710 just has more. But since the 710 has so much bass, this is why this speaker might not sound as open or have as well-defined highs as the 520, because the bass is a little more overpowering. But then there's the max volume performance on these speakers. Now, both of these speakers are good for like a 50 or more person party, and both are good for commercial use. Think small DJ gigs, restaurants, or events. But the 710 just gets louder. But like I mentioned earlier, if you were to use the 520 while it's plugged in, you are going to get a performance boost out of it. It is going to get louder and you are going to have more bass. However, it's just not going to get as loud or have as much bass as the 710. But overall, the PartyBox 710 still gets noticeably louder and it has more bass than the PartyBox 520. But with the PartyBox 520, you are going to have slightly better instrument separation and slightly better definition in the highs. But I don't think that your average person is going to be able to notice or care for the improved sound quality on the 520 if the 710 means louder and more bass. Finally, let's talk about pairing these speakers up with other speakers. Now, if you have two of the exact same speakers, then you can wirelessly pair them together and get them to play in left and right stereo mode. So your music is going to sound more open and is also going to get louder and you're going to have a lot more bass. But you have to have two of the exact same speakers. But also, the JBL PartyBox 520 is using Auracast, so you can pair it up with other Auracast speakers like the JBL PartyBox Encore 2, 120, 320, 520, or 2 and Ultimate, and you can get them to all play in sync. But you can also pair your PartyBox 520 or Ultimate up to any of JBL's smaller speakers that are also using Auracast, like let's say the JBL Charge 6, Extreme 4, Flip 7, Clip 5, or Go 4, or up to the upcoming JBL Boombox 4. But also, you can pair your PartyBox 520 up to any of JBL's older PartyBox speakers that are using TWS, like either the original PartyBox Encore or 110, 310, or 710. However, you can only have a total of 2 speakers wirelessly paired to one another. And another thing is, let's say you have your 520 paired to any other speaker, and if you have your mic plugged into your 520, then your mic audio is only going to come out of the PartyBox 520. The audio isn't going to get synced up across all other speakers. Whereas the PartyBox 710 is using TWS, so you can only pair it up to JBL's older PartyBox speakers that are using TWS. Only the 520 gives you that backwards compatibility. But like I mentioned earlier, both the PartyBox 520 and 710 both have that audio out jack, so you can always daisy chain them up to any other speaker regardless of size or brand and get them to play in sync. And since these speakers are using Auracast, you will also be able to pair them up to non-JBL speakers that are also using Auracast. Just keep in mind that you cannot pair these Auracast speakers up to any of JBL's older speakers that are using Party Boost, like either a JBL Boombox 3, Boombox 2, Extreme 3, Charge 5, Pulse 5, Pulse 4, Flip 5, or Flip 6. And also, since both of these speakers are using Auracast, you can pair them up to JBL's Party Lights, so you can extend your light feature that way if you want. But with all that being said, the JBL PartyBox 520 is almost the more portable upgrade of the PartyBox 710. It has a built-in battery, it's a little smaller, and it's a little lighter than the 710. It also has some important upgrades like Auracast and XLR inputs, and I feel that it sounds a little better as well. However, the JBL PartyBox 710 does get louder and it has more bass than the 520. If you already have the PartyBox 710 and you don't need a built-in battery, or if you don't plan on pairing your speaker to any of JBL's other PartyBox speakers, then there's no need to upgrade. However, if there is going to be a PartyBox 720, I would really like it to just be a smaller version of the Ultimate. You don't have to throw in a battery so that you can save on cost, but I do want to see the same light feature as the Ultimate, and I would also like to see XLR input, and I would also like to see dual USB-C ports. I think the JBL PartyBox Ultimate is epic, but it is a little too much, both size-wise and price-wise. If there's an option between the 520 and Ultimate, I think the 720 would fit right in. If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit the like button and get subscribed. If you want to pick any of the products up, they'll be linked down below. And if you want to further support the channel, check out the merch. I made some shirts and hoodies that look and feel great. And you know I can be very particular, so I'll only slap my name on something if I'm really proud of it.